say that every man has got two wolves inside. One of them is a black one of them is white. They say the path you walk depends on which one you feed. One of them will heal you, one will make you bleed, one will make you bleed.
Hey, good morning, it's Gabe, Sacred Awakens Radio, and that's my buddy, Miski Tasky, and man, I mean, that's what we face every day when we wake up. Black wolf, white wolf, which one you want to be. Man, it's hard to decide sometimes. But today I decided to be neither. And I am honored to have a guest on today. Mr. Gary Garver is with us. I got to be honest, I have not been nervous with the show until today because
Come on, man.
I'm being serious, man. Well, I mean, Gary, we'll tell our story, but I never thought I'd be here. So, as somebody that grew up watching Howard Stern and everything, it's an honor, but I mean, I don't really even know how I got here, which I want to get into. But if you'll allow me an honor, I ran into a Native American in Santa Fe, Texas, home of the school shooting. This man was wearing a POW jacket, and he was on a motorcycle, and I talked to everybody. So I walked up to this man and I said, "Sir, I love your vest." And I said, "I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that you're a veteran." He said, "Yes, I'm an Army veteran." And I said, "Well, I'm a Navy veteran and I run a nonprofit called Sacred Awakens, and I felt honored. I felt like I should talk to you." And this man looked at me and he said, "Son, I have something to tell you." And he said, "I wrote this in Vietnam, and I would like to read this." And I'm very emotional about stuff like this. So I want to do him an honor, because when he read it to me, it reached my soul. It's called "Another Soldier Died Today." Every day another soldier dies, yet he lives on in million lives. He struggles and he fights for his life with visions. One day he will have a wife, yet he dies in loneliness and in shame. He left no son to carry on his name. His body is shipped back to the home where as a child he used to roam. Raised God and country, and to always do his best. This is where he will be laid to rest. The family full of tears and grief. Upon his grave, they place a wreath. A prayer is said over his head. Heaven will be this brave soldier's bed. Over in Nam, there is a cry. As honored, another soldier dies for you and I. Yes, a lot of soldiers like this one died today, so we could have freedom. Their lives they gave. Art Chino de Soto, 1970. And gentlemen, I'm honored to read that. My father mentally never came home from Vietnam. A Marine, my grandfather a Marine. And that leads me into what this week is all about. I mean, this is supposed to be about love. And I mean, Gary, what is today? I mean, how do we honor the true meaning of this week? and be authentic to who we are and what so many of us take for granted: life, love, the ability to even be. Not only through this man, but he's Navajo. So, this man fought for a country that my ancestors, Gary, we've alluded to this on other shows, Gabriel James Rains, the destroyer, wiped out many of his ancestors. So for me to even be talking to this man, and I told this man, hey, man, this is who I am, showed him on my phone, and he's like, yeah, and I love you, brother. And he called me this morning and said, would you read this on your show? He turned down millions of dollars when he got out. The government wanted to read this, and they wanted him to take out God's name, and he wouldn't do it. And so today I shared it for the first time publicly, in honor of this week, guys. And man, aren't we just blessed to breathe?
Yes, we are. We're lucky. We forget. So many people take it for granted, and especially this week, Holy Week, Passover, Easter, Good Friday, the meaning of everything, our existence, is about love and respect and helping one another. And our society's taken sort of a twisted turn on all that. So hopefully we can bring it back, Gabe.
Yeah, and I know we can, and so let's talk about how we even got here. I mean,
can I
go ahead.
add
Andy,
something really quick too? For me, Jesus as a man, and without going into anything else, but as a man, this man stood for humanity. He stood for love. He stood for forgiveness, and like this soldier, died standing for humanity, standing for love. That's what this week is for me. This is what I'm reminded of, and that poem, encapsulates that. Absolutely encapsulates that.
It does. And Gary, before I get into that, what it encapsulates for me is finally making the choice not to want to fight anymore. Right? That's the choice that I've made as a man, as a father, as an uncle, as a son, as a veteran. I don't want to fight. I just don't. And I would rather sit down with the governments and everything else and try to work out through peace. But, it's hard when all you've ever known throughout your, lives, guys, all my lives, I've been a warrior. And for the first time, I'm realizing you can fight a war with words in your heart and love. And by being the example and stating, yeah, it's within me to fight and to kill and to take lives and to fight the enemy. It sure is. And I'm really good at it, but I don't want to do it. And that's where I am.
Exchange your sword for plowshares.
There you go. Yes. And Gary, you and I have talked. When you and I first talked that day back, October 18th, I think, 19th almost, I was a different person, and so were you. And I ended up on this spiritual journey and gave away everything. It wasn't taken away, but you're a different person. And my dream that day when you and I talked, I remembered it. And I've said this, you said, who are you? And I said, well, I'm Joe Rogan. I'm Howard Stern. I'm Mike Tyson, and a bag of chips. And I don't know if you're the dumbest man in America or the smartest man in America, but man, here we are. And I've been doing this now for 6 months, and I'm interviewing you, and we're here to talk about love and the opposite of chaos, right? That's your show, is chaos. I don't want chaos.
My show is called Controlled Chaos, because our society is total chaos, in ways. But we all go through these crazy journeys in life, and I think life is just one chapter, and after another, in a huge book of how you treat people and how you go through life, and what do you think about humanity, and how you step up to the plate when God calls on you to step up to the plate. And Yeah, that's the bottom line. And, I believe, I hope that, I have stepped up to the plate when God's asked me to. My little brother passed on about a little over a year ago, and he had a terrible illness. And I took care of him for like 9 years. And so, I mean, there's a huge void for me. And, during Holy Week, especially this week, spiritual path I've taken in the past year, just knowing that he's up there looking down upon my mom and I, and the powerfulness of his spirit, of his soul, where he had no power down here at all for the past 7, 8, 9 years. And now he has so much power, and I feel it. And the amazing things that he has shown me down here, it's a mind blower. I just know there's a heaven, and I know there's a better realm. And this is just a test down here. And I think most humans are failing the test right now. I don't know why. I have no clue why, but we're not doing too well, especially in the United States. I don't know what the hell's going on with the United States with the division and the hatred and just everything, man. I don't know. I don't even have an answer anymore. I'm hiding out in the desert like Jesus did.
But
stay away.
And you know what? So yeah, and so am I, right? That's what I've been doing myself on the ranch, is doing the same thing and turning off the TV and stepping away and having conversations offline with Andi and yourself. And it's crazy as we all sit here. I love you all like you're my own flesh and blood, and I haven't met either of you. And and Gary, the conversation when we first started on the patio, I mean, that day where we are now, I mean, the conversation that you and I had the day of your brother, the anniversary, and, the brotherhood, and me telling you, Gary, I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm right in the head, buddy. You gave me this show and I'm supposed to go on air, and man, I'm not the same guy. I'm like, God came into my life, and Gary, I don't even know what to say. And you were like, that's when you revealed, Gabe, I'm going through something myself. And it is, you can't explain it.
I think all of us do, Gabe. I think all of us are going through a tough time. These are just like weird times, and we're all have our struggles.
Yeah.
It's how you deal with them, and how you approach them, and how you deal with them, and do you take it out on others? I mean, I meet a lot of negative people. I've met a lot of negative people, and I feel that they just try to project their negativity on others because they're so miserable with who they are. They've got it, it makes them feel good to project their negativity on someone. It's weird, man. It's just a weird dynamic. And you came to me about doing the show, and you were sort of lost. You weren't sure if you could even do a talk show. And I basically, I think I told you, man, this is like therapy. This is just good to be able to speak your mind and be able to let people know how you feel, and try to convey a message to the rest of society, and a good message, not a bad message, because there's so many bad messages out there. And I think you're doing a great job, man. I mean, you've got a good sense of who you are.
Man, you made me cry. Thank you. Yeah, man. You gave me this show, and
well, I didn't give you anything, but
well, okay, yeah, okay. Well, I was, Richard Walker came to me with this show, and I had no idea what to think or what to do, and then I had I don't like labels anymore, but for the society's sake, yeah, man, I was in a car wreck, and my family almost died, and I saved 5 lives, and this is the first time me saying it out loud, but like something told me to do that. And then my instincts took over, and I've done this my entire life. I've always been at the right place in the right time. But when you hear that voice that I now know as Source, God, our creator, you just act. And then I just didn't understand that day my life was going to fall apart. And well, I thought, and I go home after this wreck, and I was evicted by the house the same day. And then at 3:00 you call, and I'm looking at my wife, and I'm like, what just happened? you know?
Mhm.
And then the day that I go on the show, October 28th, I literally, that was the day of my breakdown. And I had to cut back-to-back shows. In the first part, I was a mess. In the second, and then I had to put my show on repeat for 4 weeks or 5 weeks as you helped give me the time to heal
Mm.
and find myself. And then when I did, I felt this rebirth. And then you're coaching, you're just being there, and then coming on the show and being able for us to talk like this. Yeah, I see why I have the show. And I'm honored, and I love it. I really enjoy being able to be up here and just share my heart, because it's the only thing that's true and that I've ever been
Well, it's
true.
kind of cool to be able to do that. You know, that's why I do the show too. I mean, after Scotty passed on, I didn't even know if I wanted to do the show again. I mean, I took, I don't know, a month, 2 months off, and I just was, I mean, I lost a part of my soul when my brother
Yeah.
passed on, because we were so close to my little brother, my only brother. And, to me, doing the Control Chaos radio show, it sort of is therapeutic now. I look at it as therapy, and trying to get a message out too, like, stop with this nonsense and this division and this hatred toward one another. It's ridiculous. Life is too short.
Yes.
When you go through a tragic time like you've gone through in your life, like I've gone through, like so many people out there have gone through, you know what really counts and what really matters. And none of this BS of our society really matters when you're dealing with a tragedy, you're dealing with a loss. And we got to wake up as human beings. And I don't know, is there an awakening? Maybe Sacred Awakens. There you go.
Right. I mean,
you must be awakening people up, baby.
Well, and it's funny that you say that, because as I sit here, that came to me in meditation, and I didn't understand it. Just like the graphic behind me came to me in meditation. And, I've gone into this before, fellas. When my wife had left me back 2 years ago, because it's the anniversary of my awakening, my sacred awaken, right? And I did it through sacred medicine. I just didn't understand that the sacred awaken never went away. Like I thought it was going to be because we've talked about this, Gary, on other shows, if you haven't heard them, but what Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson and all the celebrities and athletes, like it's a hip thing. Well, I didn't even, right? I just thought I was going to go take acid or something, right? It was going to be some sort of trippy thing. And then when I got there and died, right, and had my spiritual death and my ego died, and you're standing there before source and you're like, right. And I'm just telling you, Gary, I don't think I've ever told you this. There was two things that I wanted to do. I wanted to find out who I was and let my ego die, because it was driving me crazy, because I wanted to kill it my entire life. And I wanted to meet God. And both those things happened. And I hear this like it was yesterday. I'm standing there looking at the most beautiful thing. And I said, "Who are you?" And it said, "I am." Now, I've read the Bible. My dad beat the Bible into me. I never knew I am was a name for God, right? And I'm sitting there, fellas, and I looked up and I was like, "What am I supposed to do?" "I need you to surrender, like you did when you just told your wife that you're going to give her the divorce." I'm like, "So you just want me to give?" And then all of a sudden that thing, I was like, "Who are you?" He said, "I am." And I said, "I am you, you are me, we are one." That's all I needed to know. When I came back, there's a lot to that story, but when I came back, I've spent 2 years unlearning, unprogramming, disconnecting from the matrix, whatever you want to call it, right? Unlearning when I say unlearning, I mean unlearning everything. I woke up to the fact that my entire life was a lie, right? And then I'm trying to tell people, and they're telling me I'm crazy, and they're telling me that it's the DMT, which flows naturally through your body, by the way. And but Gary, yeah, I mean, we all are awakening. And people like myself and Andy and some have been awake going through this. Some of us at a warp speed, right? Because I'll say it right now, and this is the first time I've ever seen it. Say it out loud on everyone. Man, I'm a being of light and love, and I'm not from this planet. Because
I feel the same way, man.
right? Okay. Thank you.
I hear
Right?
you.
Golly,
I hear
man,
you.
I'm not.
I say it all the time.
And
I always say that all the time. I say, I'm not a part of this. I'm not
no,
part of this human energy, man. I'm not gonna be.
no. And
I
Andy,
refuse to.
Andy, go ahead. Andy, say,
Andy, are you a part of this human energy?
Okay, so a couple things. Number one, to witness and be witness to the two of you talking is absolutely beautiful for me. And that's why I've really just kept the space. But part two, the whole I am, everything about saying I am is absolutely taking off every definition that we have either been told by society we're supposed to be as men or just as a person, and the ones that we've put on ourselves. And that just opens up the absolute infinite. And I love that. And to answer the question that was posed to me, am I a being of light? Yes, I'm a being of light, and I am a being of dark. I'm a being.
right.
Do I know the path? Do I have a teacher? It's within me, and it's through the meditation, it's through the listening, and it's through taking away every single perceived burden that I've believed in. Because it's one thing to believe, whatever I believe becomes my reality. The lies I've told myself, the society's burdens, all of those things. And releasing those and going to the place of I am, going to the place of I am, and that I am a being of light, and I am a being of dark, that God is within me. I don't need to go to somewhere in some kind of building to find it. I sit next to a tree and I listen. That's where that goes for me. Like, I have no idea what this today is going to be. I simply be present and let the universe unfold and show me what it is as it continues.
I mean, well spoken. And I think the three of us coming together today and honoring, I mean, it's going to be Wednesday, right? And there's some significance in that. Of it's right in the middle of the week, right in the middle of this, and we're here, yeah, I'm not the black wolf, I'm not the white wolf, I'm the wolf in the middle. And go ahead.
Is it Ash Wednesday? I don't know.
Gary?
No, that's a different holiday.
That's a different holiday.
Yeah, it's during Lent. But that was about a month ago, was Ash Wednesday. But this is actually Thursday. Tomorrow is the day that they actually convicted Jesus.
Right.
And Friday will be the day that they crucified him. I mean, he only had like one day. They didn't even give him a real trial. I was kind of shocked when I read about that this week, that literally he went into Jerusalem on Sunday, which is Palm Sunday, on a donkey. And then by Thursday, they had arrested him, and Friday they crucified him. It was, I mean,
okay,
it's just so crazy. Like, how weird is that? And then he reappears 3 days later, and that's Easter. And for the rest of our time, we're still looking for him. We're still looking for the answers that Jesus gave his disciples and the rest of humanity. Kind of strange.
Well, it's kind of strange. And if we look at it I'm going to look at it from a military tactical advantage. It's real odd that that's his last day of freedom on a Wednesday where my show airs. And that's the one thing we're all kind of looking for, right? Freedom found within, right?
Well, he came home and he knew that this was going to happen. And
right.
He was welcomed, and he was welcome home. He was welcome home after his walk and his journey. And he knew.
Right.
And this is the Wednesday before. And the reason why, because Ash keeps coming up, because Phoenix keeps coming up. And Phoenix is you lose all the paradigms, just like we're talking about with the I am, and then you rise again. And then you rise again as a greater being as the phoenix would. And Jesus in the same thing. I mean, he was arrested. He was arrested because he was a threat to powers that were in place, because he allowed people to love themselves and forgave them unconditionally, allowed them to truly experience life as an individual freedom being that had everything within them, God, everything. That's what he would say. You find him through me, and he is me. He is you. And so finding God within self, and that's what he died for. He died so people would love and forgive themselves.
And
That's so beautiful to me.
Right. And I think my waking up, whether you do it through sacred medicine or meditation, or Gary, organically like yourself, or right, what I have awakened to, and since y'all are going to hear this Wednesday, the significance of it is I've wakened up to the fact that I am the Son of God, created in his image, and that the consciousness of Christ flows through me, within me, because I sought within. And the true goal in life is to love yourself. And when you love yourself unconditionally, you open up the capacity, which opens up the floodgates, which I'm just going to go ahead and spell it out for y'all, okay? Which opens up the source, because you're honoring your mother, Gaia, your true mother, because we are of ash. And like the phoenix with wings on Wednesday, you start to rise. And as you rise up your spine to the land of pineal, anybody know who went there? Anybody? Gary? Andy, do you know who went to the land of pineal?
I'm guessing we're going to say Jesus.
No. I'm going to let everybody look this up since nobody knows. But when he did, his true name was revealed to him. So as this journey of life, we on Wednesday, if we open up ourselves to the land of pineal, we go to the crown and we experience DMT, which is the light and the love and the Christ consciousness, and that starts to flow. That can be done naturally through meditation. That can be elevated and escalated by having your pineal gland blown to smithereens by the bufo toad, or doing it in parts through ayahuasca, which is not DMT. It's an AOI inhibitor that prolongs it. But that's what we are awakening, Gary. If we are awakening, we are all starting to go to the land of pineal, where our true...
I might be already there.
Yeah, right? Okay, thank you.
Love
Yeah,
it.
man.
I love it.
Right? So...
I'm already there. I don't know where the hell it's at, but I'm there.
Yeah, so... right? And that's...
I love that.
Yeah, and so then what happens is the Holy Ghost, right? The Christ consciousness, it comes in and it taps you on the shoulder, and your journey is not like anybody else's, and you realize that I am of spirit. I am divine. I mean, I am announcing for the first time, I'm a divine feminine. I'm a divine masculine. I'm balanced. I'm centered. I'm aligned. I talk to my higher selves, all of them. That's not the voices in my head. Those are actual beings, my ancestors, because my dad was not schizophrenic. He's done this his entire life and didn't understand it, right? How do I know this? Because the man that tried to kill me in the bathtub that I didn't know or understand, I love and I forgave. And we had a conversation, and he asked me, do you hear voices? And I said, I absolutely do. He said, how long? I said, my entire life. He goes, why didn't you say anything? I said, did you see what they did to you? And he started laughing. And I said, I didn't want to do that because they said you were crazy. And he goes, are you crazy? I said, absolutely. And I own it. And he said, son, I'm proud of you. It took me 50, almost 1 year to hear that. And that man and I could not have a conversation about religion, because when he was baptized, he started hearing those voices and saw me as something other than myself, and he tried to kill me. And I had to sit with that, and I had to forgive him. And that conversation all came to fruition here not too long ago in my backyard when I called him and I said, I love you and I forgive you and I understand. He goes, how? I said, because I've been in Vietnam with you. I heard your prayers. And I told him, and he goes, I said, I've also was there when your father beat you with a belt like you beat me. And I understand that his father before him did that, and his father before him did that. And then I revealed to him who our great-great-grandfather was. And my dad laughed and he goes, son, no wonder everybody thinks the Rains family is crazy. And I just laughed, right? Because my great-great-grandfather invented the torpedo and the landmine and all the stuff. And I go around talking to Native Americans, apologizing, and I know who I am now, right?
Breaking the chain, dude. Breaking the chain.
Who we all
breaking
are.
an ancestral. Okay, we could say we all are.
Well,
I'm going to go ahead and give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
That is breaking that chain.
Nah, I did.
So I honor you for that.
Thank you. And Gary, I think that's what we're doing. We're waking up to realize that I'm not an alcoholic. I'm also not a drug addict. I broke all those. I'm not mentally abusive. I'm not physically abusive. I'm not my father or my grandfather or anybody before that, because I don't want to be.
And okay. I'm too excited. So the beautiful thing is you're also honoring the bloodline of you. So you understand the power of the blood that runs through you, your father, your grandfather, these things, and choosing to embrace that side that it could be. You even just said, yeah, I'm crazy. And you're good with that, and you embrace it and you love it and you forgive yourself, and then you forgave your father. It's such a beautiful thing.
All my grandfathers and all my grandmothers. Yeah, I've forgiven them all.
Think about that timeline. Think about that cleaning up that you're doing there. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, the thing is you acknowledge it, you understand it, and you want to change it. And that's cool. That's the way to be. So many people just fall into the category of following their father's footsteps, mother's or grandfather, and then they don't understand why they're full of hate and anger. And you're trying to change it, which is really cool.
Well, and thank you. And I am changing it, because my father said the same thing. He said, son, I didn't want to fight. And, and for the first time, I realized that I'm through my divorce right now, that everything that's happening to me happened to him right when he came back from Vietnam, fellas. And I'm literally changing that, right? Everything that's happened with my wife and my stepchildren and my daughter and everything that's going on right now, my father went through and could relate to. And he went to say, and I said, Dad, you don't even have to say anything. Yes, I completely understand. And I know what you feel. That's what I'm trying to say. And he said, he didn't even know what to say. And he still doesn't. And even my family and my friends, that's the other thing, fellas, I thought I was losing everything. I was in the backyard saying, why am I losing everything? Why am I losing everything? As I live and breathe today, I don't own a house. I don't own a vehicle. I'm in debt. I can't even afford the show. I don't know where food's coming from. And yet I'm honored to be here just to be able to speak all of that and realize that it's hard to love people that don't show you love. And you can't fight that. You no matter who it is, right? Society, and I'm getting emotional, but the government, your neighbor, whoever it is.
Well, if you think about it, real quick, wait, I'm sorry. People are so used to the definition that you're supposed to be for them. And as you release your own definitions, as I release my own definitions, people that were very used to me being a certain way have fallen off. Even you're talking about the government. The government wants me a certain way, and is
Right.
used to me being a certain way,
Right.
being that provider, being that, in changing all of that and letting that just fall off. I think, and it's interesting because Gabe even, or I'm sorry, Gary, you said it earlier too, is that the division in this country and how it's getting worse as people are awakening and changing the definitions. That definition of the division is leaving, and the dividers, the people keeping us from that don't want us in there, they're gripping as hard as they possibly can right now, man.
I
They're like,
agree.
yeah.
no, we got to put these guys back in fear. We got to put them back in that,
Thank you.
and they're losing that shit. Sorry, my bad. They're losing that battle. They're losing that, and
Well, let's
to
hope they
lose that
lose,
grip.
because no, they need to lose. I mean, we're tired of this. I think most of society is really on the same page. I'm talking about the United States. I'm not talking about Europe or Asia, but I'm talking about the United
Right.
States specifically. I think most of us are on the same page about things. We might have different philosophies, but we're on the same page about life and liberty and just, pursuit of happiness, as you want to call it. But you get these yahoos on way on the right, way on the left, and they try to just divide everybody and turn everybody against one another. And we really got to step up as a society and say, hey, enough's enough, man. This is ridiculous. And we're all just trying. Listen, we're all just trying to survive, just like you, Gabe, said, and Andy, just trying to live life and trying to make the best situation as possible for yourselves. I'm doing the same thing. I mean, I'm lost horizon right now. Somebody asked me the other day, like, what are you going to do? What do you plan on doing? And I'm like, I don't know. My life was about taking care of my brother, and I've just been like sort of just in a numb state for the past year, not knowing what I'm going to do and where I'm going to go. And I say I live life one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and God will show me the way. He is always showing me the way. Every time I've asked God for something, or like when I've gotten into a bad situation, this is good for everyone. You get in a bad situation, you're feeling negative, or you're feeling down, you're feeling lost. Just give it into God. So that's what I did. I mean, I had some low times in my life, and I'm just gonna give it to God, and God will show me the way, because He always has. And guess what? He always was there. And even through this,